Okay, let's really dig into this. Get this. You share a photo online. Maybe it's just, a cool building you saw, or a nice street corner, maybe a landscape shot. And you're smart about it, right? You've stripped out the location data, the GPS tags, gone. No metadata that points to where you were.
Right. Clean image.
Exactly. But then, somehow, some powerful AI looks at just the picture, the pixels, the shapes, the light, whatever, and it figures out exactly where you were standing. Not just the city, but maybe like the specific block or even which building you were looking at. How does that even work? And what does it mean for us, when we share stuff?
Yeah, that's not science fiction anymore. It's a real thing, and it's what we're diving into today. Reverse location search, but powered by AI.
Right.
We're looking specifically at how these advanced models, the kind behind tools like ChatGPT, are getting surprisingly good at finding a photo's location just from the visual information.
Right. We've got some really fascinating sources on this, and our mission here is basically to unpack it all for you. We want to explore the tech behind it, which is pretty surprising, and understand why it's suddenly, like, everywhere, and really get into the big questions it raises about privacy and, well, ethics.
Exactly. Think of this as your way to quickly get up to speed. We'll go from the nuts and bolts, how the AI actually sees a place in a photo, to what it means out in the real world. And crucially, that tricky balance between cool new tech and keeping your information safe. You might find some of this genuinely surprising.
Okay, let's jump right in. So, fundamentally, what is reverse location search in this AI context?
Simply put, it's figuring out the geographic location, either precisely or roughly, where a photo was taken, starting with only the photo itself. It's totally different from, say, searching Google for pictures of the Eiffel Tower. In that case, you type in the name. Here you show the AI a picture and tells you, that's the Eiffel Tower taken from this spot.
Ah, okay, so image in, location out. Gotcha.
Exactly. And the sources we looked at, they kind of break down how it works into a few key parts. First, there's the bedrock. AI image recognition. This relies on models, especially things called convolutional neural networks or CNNs. They're trained on just massive amounts of image data. They learn to spot patterns, objects, landmarks, the obvious stuff like the Sydney Opera House, but also more subtle things.
So the AI sees building, but it's also learning what kind of building, maybe even which specific one.
Precisely. Then there's the second part, metadata extraction. This is the straightforward way, looking for that AXIF data baked into the photo file. Things like GPS coordinates, when the photo was taken, maybe the camera model. It's like the photo's digital footprint.
Okay, but that's the stuff people often remove, right, for privacy. So how does the AI manage when that data is gone? This is the bit that really fascinates me.
Right, and that's where the AI really shows its power. This third pillar is contextual clue analysis. When that explicit metadata is stripped, the AI basically becomes a detective. It analyzes everything else it can see. Architectural styles, that look specific to a certain place or time. The plants, the trees, vegetation is a huge clue. Streetlight designs, road signs, any text on billboards or shops, even the way the shadows fall can give hints about the latitude or time of day. Just piecing together all these little visual fragments.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just, is that the Eiffel Tower? It's combining that with, like, the type of lamppost and the language on a sign nearby.
Exactly, is synthesis.
So what's the underlying tech making this possible now? It feels like a recent leap.
It really is a combination of breakthroughs. You've got those CNNs doing the heavy lifting on image analysis, but then you layer on models like transformers, the architecture behind things like ChatGPT. These are incredibly good at understanding context, putting different pieces of information together, and even explaining their reasoning in a way that sounds, well, almost human.
So they don't just see a palm tree, they connect it to other clues.
Yeah, potentially. They might see the palm tree, combine it with, say, Spanish text on a sign, the style of the paving stones, the architecture, and infer, okay, this looks like southern Spain, maybe Seville.
And all this comparison needs massive databases, right? Where does it get the reference points?
Oh, absolutely. Huge databases.
Yeah.
It taps into global mapping services, tons of satellite imagery, and critically, enormous collections of street-level photos. Think Google Street View, but potentially other sources too. The AI is essentially comparing the visual fingerprint of the photo you give it against this giant library to find the best match. And then tools like ChatGPT add that conversational layer, letting you ask questions or refine the search.
It definitely feels like this capability has just exploded recently. It's gone from like a niche spy movie thing to something people are actually playing with online. Why now?
A big part is just the accessibility of these powerful AI tools.
Right.
Things that used to need specialized skills or expensive software are now available through web interfaces or chatbots that millions of people are already using.
Right.
It's basically democratized this kind of geographic sleuthing.
Yeah, and it's become this sort of online game almost. People posting holiday snaps saying, "Hey AI, where was I?" Or communities trying to identify mystery photos. It's kind of gone viral.
Totally. It's made geolocating photos genuinely engaging for a huge audience, way beyond the usual tech crowd.
Okay, so it's fun, it's impressive tech, but the sources are clear. This isn't just entertainment. There are serious practical uses emerging too, aren't there?
Oh, definitely. Loads of them.
Yeah.
Travelers use it for planning. See a cool photo, figure out where it is, or maybe finding places from old family photos. Researchers, historians, they find it super valuable for verifying the authenticity of old pictures. Does this photo really show what it claims to show from that place and time?
Uh-huh. And journalism too, I imagine. Fighting fake news and stuff.
Yes, absolutely. It's becoming a really powerful tool for fact-checking. If someone shares a photo claiming it's from a current event in location X, journalists can use AI analysis to see if the background details actually match location X. It helps combat misinformation, especially the visual kind spreading on social media.
Right. And you mentioned community efforts like that Reddit group.
Yeah, the Where Is This subreddit is a perfect example. Someone posts a really tricky photo, and you get this amazing mix of people using AI tools, but also bringing their own local knowledge, mapping skills, just pure human intuition sometimes. It shows how you can blend the machine's power with human smarts.
I've also heard some pretty wild stories about how well or how badly this works, like amazing successes finding remote spots, but also some totally bizarre failures.
Yeah, the sources really highlight that contrast.
Yeah.
You get these jaw-dropping stories where AI pinpoints some tiny village in the middle of nowhere, or the exact window someone took a photo from in a dense city. It's incredible when it works. But then you get the other side. The AI confidently declaring a picture of, I don't know, a suburban street in Florida is actually deep in the Japanese countryside, or something equally wild. This often comes down to what they call AI hallucination, the model basically making up a plausible sounding but totally wrong answer. It's a massive reminder that these tools, while powerful, are definitely not perfect. Users really need to be aware of that.
Which leads us straight into the big concerns, doesn't it? This ability to figure out location from just a picture, especially without needing metadata, that feels potentially risky.
It absolutely does. The privacy implications are huge. Being able to figure out where someone was, maybe even their regular spots, just from a photo they posted casually online, that opens the door to misuse.
What kind of misuse are we talking about?
Well, the most obvious ones are things like doxing, revealing someone's private information, including location, against their will, or unwanted surveillance. Think about it. A photo of your favorite coffee shop window, a park bench you often sit on, maybe even a glimpse of something visible from your home. If AI can pinpoint that location, it could reveal your habits, your routine. And this risk is even higher for people who need anonymity activists, maybe investigative journalists, people in difficult situations. The tech bypasses their choice to remove location tags.
So even a seemingly boring photo, like a random street corner, could potentially give away too much.
Potentially, yes, because the AI isn't just looking for famous landmarks. It's looking at everything. The style of that lamppost, the street signs, the shop names, maybe even the type of pavement or the local architecture. Enough unique details, even in a mundane scene, might allow the AI to narrow it down significantly. And the sources raise real concerns about how this could be used, maybe by law enforcement, maybe by private companies, possibly stretching or bypassing normal legal processes for tracking people. It brings up fundamental questions about consent and oversight.
And does the fact that the AI can be wrong make things worse? Those hallucinations you mentioned.
Oh, absolutely. It compounds the risk significantly. If the AI confidently gives a false location and someone acts on that information without double-checking, well, you can imagine the problems. It could spread damaging misinformation, lead to people being wrongly suspected of things, or just cause chaos based on faulty data. It raises a serious ethical question. Is it responsible to deploy this tech widely when it has this known potential to be confidently wrong and cause harm?
Yeah, that's a heavy question. So thinking about that, balance the capabilities versus the limitations, how do the sources frame that?
Well, on the plus side, the sources acknowledge the sheer power here. These models can chew through incredibly complex visual data super fast.
Yeah.
They compare it against those enormous databases we talked about. They can synthesize different kinds of clues, visual stuff, maybe implied cultural context. It's analysis at a speed and scale humans just can't match.
Okay, impressive power, but the downsides, the limitations.
They are significant, yeah. A big one is the lack of genuine human understanding, deep cultural context. It might see architectural details but not grasp the subtle why behind them, something a local would know instantly. It can easily misinterpret clues that are ambiguous without that context, and there's no real-time check. It makes a guess based on its data. It can't actually go there and confirm.
Mm.
And like all AI, it's vulnerable to bias in its training data. If it hasn't seen enough pictures of, say, rural Africa, it's not going to be very good at identifying photos from there.
Huh.
Its accuracy can be really uneven depending on geography and the type of image. And that overconfidence when it's wrong is a major limitation.
Okay, so powerful tool, real benefits, but also clear risks and these technical weaknesses. What about the rules, the ethics, the regulations? Are they keeping up?
Well, the sources stress the fundamentals: respect for privacy, the need for informed consent, transparency. Ideally, you as a user should know that sharing a photo might mean its location could be figured out. You should understand what that entails.
It feels like a really tough balancing act, doesn't it? Encouraging innovation, the cool uses for travel or research, versus protecting people from having sensitive info exposed without them realizing.
It absolutely is, and it puts a lot of responsibility on the tech developers and the platforms hosting images. They really need to build in safeguards, think hard about preventing misuse.
And legally, do current privacy laws like GDPR or CCPA cover this kind of AI inference?
It's complicated. Those laws provide a strong foundation for protecting personal data, and images can be personal data. But they were mostly written before AI got this good at inferring sensitive information like location from images that might not have any obvious identifiers or metadata attached. They protect the data you explicitly provide, but this idea of AI deducing location from pixels alone is a newer challenge for the legal frameworks.
So the spirit is there, but the letter of the law might not quite fit this specific scenario yet.
That's a good way to put it. There are new regulations emerging, like the EU AI Act, which are trying to tackle AI accountability and risk more generally. But it's a patchwork globally, and the specific rules around AI image analysis are still very much evolving. It leaves developers in a bit of a gray area and users potentially exposed.
So looking ahead, what's next for this tech, according to the sources? And more importantly, how do we make sure it develops responsibly?
The trajectory seems to be towards even greater sophistication. Think AI integrating real-time data, maybe combining image analysis with audio from a video or text associated with the image for even richer context. You can see integrations with augmented reality, maybe virtual reality. It could genuinely change how we navigate, learn about places, tell stories digitally.
Sounds amazing, potentially. But also, again, potentially more invasive if not handled right. So how do we steer it responsibly?
The consensus in the sources is that responsibility has to be baked in from the start. Clear ethical guidelines, technical standards for developers. Explicit user consent for this kind of analysis needs to be the norm, not an exception. Transparency is crucial. Users need to understand how it works, roughly, know that it can make mistakes, and be aware of its limits. Companies building this stuff need to genuinely prioritize privacy and minimizing harm.
And what about us, the people actually taking and sharing the photos?
This is where AI literacy becomes so important. We all need to get smarter about what this tech can do, both the cool stuff and the risky stuff. Understanding the capabilities and the limitations helps build, a healthy skepticism. It stops us from blindly trusting an AI guess, encourages us to think critically, and helps us make better choices about what we share and how we protect our own privacy online. It's not just about building responsible AI, it's about using it responsibly too.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, we've really seen two sides of a fascinating coin. On one side, AI figuring out photo locations just from the image. That's a seriously impressive technological leap. It unlocks cool possibilities for discovery, for verifying information, for connecting with the world visually.
Yeah, it's remarkable tech. But on the other side, we've really dug into the significant risks that come with it. The threats to privacy, to personal safety, the potential for misuse. It's quite profound.
Right. This isn't technology that's just going to magically sort itself out for everyone's benefit. It's a powerful tool, yes, with huge potential upsides, but also serious downsides that need very careful handling. Responsible use isn't automatic. It needs deliberate ethical thinking baked into the tech, strong privacy safeguards from the platforms, and just an ongoing, honest conversation between everyone involved, the builders, the platforms, us users, the policymakers trying to keep up.
And as you said, it's moving incredibly fast.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. As this AI gets even better, even more granular at picking up those tiny, subtle clues, the specific wear pattern on a brick wall, the exact model of a car in the background, the breed of dog walking past, will we eventually reach a point where pretty much any photo shared online, no matter how careful you are with metadata, essentially gives away your location, whether you consent it or not? What does that future look like for how we live online, how we communicate visually? It's definitely something worth pondering as this technology continues its own deep dive into our world.